Hello everyone, so today we are going to the Leetcode daily challenge. Now we are going to start with the April daily challenge, and it's about the first daily challenge is about the reverse string. As marked it as an easy problem, so let's get started with it. So the first thing we can see here is that we are just required to write a function in which we are required to reverse a string. There are a lot of modification of this particular question for reversing a string. Like there could be a particular word which is being given as here. The thing is that we are given with the vector of characters. That's the thing. Means other reverse string things are like we are required to reverse a string where separate strings are given. So this is the most basic, easiest problem of all those variations which are there. So let's get started and just let's think about it in such a manner that we are required to have you must do this by modifying the input array in place with order of one extra memory. So in place simply refers to that we shouldn't be using any extra memory here, as they have mentioned order of one extra memory shouldn't be used here, and in place simply that the order which is being there that shouldn't be disturbed. That is, if HE is there, so if they are simply reversed, then the order should be E after DH, and L which is here that should be coming up before the E, that should be there. But that simply means that the way this is 1, 2, let me write it. Okay. So the thing is, the way it is here means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So it should be simply like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Means this thing. Basically, when there are duplicates, means if it is 3, 4, then it should be 4, 3. Not it shouldn't be like that. It is remaining as 3, 4 only because these are duplicates, right? So it's something like that. Means the corresponding order should be maintained. Means order between them should be maintained. That's what they want to say here, if I'm able to explain it. So that's the thing here. Now comes the next part that we need to think about the solution, that how we can do it. So the first thing which comes to mind is that when H is there and O is there, and we simply need to change their positions, right? Means basically H is going at the last, right, and O is coming at the first, right? This is the thing which we observe here. Then E is going to last second, which was earlier second, and the last second is coming to the first, means the second position, right? So we can clearly see here that it is swapping which is ongoing. That is, the first one is becoming the last, and the last one is simply swapped with the first one. So we can clearly see that it is a question which could be done by two-pointer approach, and those two pointers should be in the opposite direction. So that's the thing here which we can observe from these examples. And then the next part, and before seeing all this, we were also required to see about the constraints which are being given. So the constraints are simply that the string could be 10 raised to power 5, right? So order of n solution simply works here, because we can go 10 raised to power 5 at the 10 n square solution. It might give us some sort of time complex clearly, right? So that's why we would be pressing the solution of order of n here. So next part which comes up, as we have already, out of these two examples we can check that it is something related to swapping, right? So we can simply use two pointers here, and by using two pointers, the way we are required to do is, means first thing, we will be maintaining a left pointer which will be starting from the 0th index. Then we would be having a right pointer which will be starting from the n-1 index, right? So, and it will be going in towards the left, and left would be going towards the right, like this. And we would be, as we are required to swap it, right? So what we can do is we could simply maintain a particular character variable where we would be storing each value in it, and that particular value could be used for the part of swapping. So this is what we can do, and this comes out to be the iterative solution, right? We could also think about a recursive solution out of this iterative solution only. So let me show you that. So before you can, because I've already explained that, yeah, we could go ahead with the iterative solution using two pointer, and these two pointers are in opposite ones. And then the recursive solution would be a modified two pointer solution only. Means where the thing would be that instead of using that while loop or any other loop, we could simply just call a recursive function. That would be the variation of our solution from iterative to recursive one. So this is the thing which we could simply use here. And now comes the part about the iterative and recursive solution. These are just key points which I derived from the solution, and then I'll walk you through the code, that how we can code it. So for the iterative solution, so first thing which we observe from our given examples is that H and O we are required to swap them, that E and L we are required to swap them, and then L would be swapped by itself, right? So simply there is swapping. So we are just swapping first with the last, and increment and decrement as per the direction of the pointer, and repeat the previous step, that is swapping. So this is the thing which we would be doing each time from this particular word. That would be our iterative solution, and as we are using simply means two pointers and they are going in opposite directions, so the whole solution simply becomes order of n time complexity. And as we would not be using any extra space, right? So that's the reason the space complexity would be simply order of 1. So that was here. Now comes the part for this recursive solution. So for this recursive solution, the thing is our base case. Our base case for means every recursive solution we are required to think about three things. Is the base case, the options which we are required to take, and the recursive function which would be there. Basically that recurrence relation which we required to derive, and so on, that's the mathematical part. But the thing is that how from the examples we could come up with the recursive function. So that's the things which we are required to do. Now before going to the base case, we would be first required to use that what the recursive function would be. So as I earlier gave the hint that our iterative solution could be converted to a recursive solution by simply changing our while loop to a recursive function call, right? So in that sense, what we are doing is we are having a function where our that characters vector would be simply passed, means that vector of character would be simply passed, and then we would be passing a left pointer and a right pointer, and this function would be every time called, and left would be incremented and right would be decremented every time in our whole function process. So this would be a recursive function which would be having parameters as input string, the left pointer and the right pointer, right? And then according to this function only, we will be getting our base case. If it would have been that while loop only, so when our while loop would stop, when our left is simply greater than or equal to right? So at that point, our while loop required to be stopped, right? So instead of that, we have used that particular condition as a base case in our recursive solution. So this is the thing which is there. And the options. So we would be having the whole array as our option scale, right? But at a particular point, we would be simply choosing just two elements and which are simply required to be swapped. So this would be there as our option part. Okay. So this is how the solution would. But in recursive solution, if we don't ignore that recursive stack, right? This recursive stack which would be built up in our recursive solution, if we don't ignore that, then our space complexity would be order of n. But if we ignore this recursive stack, then it would be simply order of 1 only. So That's the reason this could be somehow, I can say that, yeah, this part could be that, yeah, it is not order of n space complexity sort of solution, right? This could be that part. But the thing is, if we ignore recursive stacks, then only it is order of 1. Else it is order of n space complexity only, this particular recursive solution. And the time complexity, it would be the same as the previous solution, that is order of n only. Okay, so I have given the basic idea that what all it would be. Now let me walk you through the code, that how we are required to code it. So now comes the part. So this was about the question, and now here comes the part about the solution. So first, I don't know this because for iterative recursive one, iterative. Okay. So here comes the part of that iterative solution. So as I mentioned, it is just a 2-pointer solution only. They would be using 2 pointers, that is left and right. So here the thing is simply like, we are having this left pointer which will be starting from this, and we are having this right pointer which will be starting from here. So 0 and n minus 1, these are the things which we are using. H dot size is n minus 1, and n is simply the size of the vector which we are taking. And this is that while loop in which we are simply swapping, means it is a simply swapping part only, which is ongoing. And we are using this char tmp, that is a temporary variable which we are using, so that we could store a present test of left, that is h, we could store in that temp. And then we are simply incrementing our left here. And after incrementing that, means first we are storing the one where we were having that h, right? We are simply storing whatever was there at right, means this is being stored here, and then it is incremented because it is a post increment, right? So that's why first the thing would be stored in the left and then it would be incremented. So now our left pointer has moved to e, and s of left which was there, means earlier it was h l o, right? Now it has become o, e, l, and o is still the same. And here h will remain as it is. 1 minute. It has been discharged actually. Okay, so h will remain the same as it is, not at present. Here o would be there. H is here in our temp. Now when we do this particular thing, now it will be h, l, l, and now it will be h. And then our right pointer will simply move towards here. Means our left would be here and our right would be here. And again the same process would repeat, and then it will become, means it will reverse the whole vector of char which is being given to us here, and like this a question will be completed for this particular part, means for this iterative portion. Now let us come to this particular recursive solution. For this recursive part, it is same. This particular portion is same as we were doing in our iterative. Only thing which we have changed this for the while loop was this, that then we hit this base condition which was there in the while loop as a stopping. So if this base condition is there, then we are required to return. And after being swapping, then we are calling for our next versions, that is whatsoever left and right are there. So it would be called again, and this is what we are doing here. Basically, it is playing the part of that while loop only, and it will stop when this base condition is reached. And we are passing these parameters from start and calling this particular recursive function for a particular function to go ahead with. So this was all for this particular question. And if you have any other solution for the same question or any doubt about the same, you could simply comment down. So this was all for today. Thank you.